Namaste, Soumya ji. Thank you so much for joining us today for this podcast. And I would like to welcome you on behalf of all the seekers and people worldwide who watch these podcasts to learn from the life of other people. And you are doing such a great work with Praful Urja organization and in life in general. You have done a lot of dharma work. So it would be great if you would like to, you can share the organization, your work, and how the challenges, your journey, and I'm sure it will be helpful for a lot of people, those who keep thinking about what to do and how to find fulfillment in life, and yet taking that one first step is so challenging for them. But when they see a lot of people like you who can start something and build something like that, it's a great inspiration in itself. So how about we start with the organization that you have? What do you guys do, and what are all the things that you are teaching and doing through your organization?
Thank you, Prakriti ji. So my organization name, it's an NGO and it's based in Bangalore. It's called Praful Urja Charitable Foundation. And so our vision is and mission is to train yoga therapists, empower yoga therapists through training, and in order to bring sustainable yoga programs to communities in vulnerable conditions. So when I came to India 13 years ago, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I just landed up in Bangalore. I had a background with a master's degree in peace studies and in environmental security. And my research work during my master's degree was on yoga, domestic violence, and the environment, looking at how domestic violence survivors can utilize yoga when they do not have access to, when they're living in a shelter and do not necessarily have access to nature. Nature is such a,
important thing.
So important in our lives, and it's a place where we can go to really release all of our emotions, all of our stresses, and come back completely rejuvenated. When you don't have access to that, if you are living in a shelter or in an urban area, a crowded area, then you can use. So I found that using yoga and yogasana, especially the nature-based asana practices, which is a good portion of the asana practices, was very useful, very beneficial to rebuilding character, forgiveness, balance, strength, courage, bravery, and confidence. So different asanas, you don't just do a tree pose, a vrikshasana. You actually can use that asana to bridge your balance between, of course, between the earth and the sky, but also balance your own life. So when I came to India, I said, okay, well, one of the things I can do is potentially teach yoga to domestic violence survivors. And I did try to reach out to some groups nearby me in Bangalore. I didn't quite find those groups in the beginning. What I did find was special needs children.
Okay.
And I found, I think as I've told you before, my first student was from a Muslim family background, and he was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity. And, I found that in a few months' time, this boy who was literally jumping on, like Spider-Man and Superman, he was flying through the room and climbing on the walls, and yet and could not stop talking, could not stop fidgeting and moving. And within a few months, he was sitting in Vajrasana, in the rock or thunderbolt pose, completely still, completely silent. And when I asked him how he is, he responded, with awareness, with knowledge, I am calm. He had understood at long last that this is what calm is. This is what peace is. And he was able to articulate that. Articulate that this is how he's feeling.
Beautiful.
And yeah, so that was the start of Prafulurja. Should I tell you a little bit more about how the organization grew and
yeah, definitely go ahead.
So we actually, I had a few other people join me. One person in particular helped me, register. One or two people helped me register the organization, make it a legal entity, a trust, and that really gave us the confidence to then start approaching places and other partner NGOs and partner educational organizations. So by that time, we had already started working with a couple of special needs schools in Bangalore. Then we began, somebody from a rural area asked us to work with their women. Primarily women came. They did also have men, but it was primarily women who had come. And I found that through the practice of yoga, everybody was empowered.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily that I was teaching the yoga. No, because I'm just having a basic yoga teaching background and I have a basic awareness of what is yogasana, pranayama, basic. Because these are very deep sciences and spiritualities that, don't have a lot of research in the field and don't have the research field of yoga is still growing. It's very nascent.
And it is still connected to the material aspect, the three-dimensional aspect of everything. It's hard to, do some kind of a machine level testing for how much awareness has increased or how much your willpower has increased. You only have to live it and show it to the world what you have got. It has to become the part of your living. There is no other justifiable scientific way to test it. And it's just that living life and showing awareness, showing the decision making over the 10 years period of time and the way life goes, then all that is still not considered as, some sort of a sampling or data for modern scientific research. Even though it's a way much more proven thing for the entire humanity. I was working here during the COVID time for 2.5 years with Family Safety Victoria. So that's an organization, government organization that deals with domestic violence. So it was more about creating cases and handling things. And we were onto the IT side. I'm into IT field. So I was onto the IT side of it. And I still work part-time into IT to pay my bills. So, but yes, every week during the COVID, every week, one woman was dying in Victoria because of the domestic violence. And domestic violence is rampant here in the societies. Whether it's an Indian family or any background family, does not matter. We cannot do any sort of racial profiling and say, okay, this happens more in the families of, people from Australia, the white people, or the Aboriginal people here, or the Indian people, or the Muslim people here. No, it's not a community divide. The only divide that we realized that there was, depending upon how independent financially a woman is. That was one of the, and then University of Sydney did a 5-year-long study to prove that poverty is one of the reason, or women not being financially independent is one of the main reason that as many as 22 times she will go back to the perpetrator husband or the perpetrator partner. So they proved it with so much data and everything. So yes, and but once somebody has come out of it, if they are able to stay out of it and don't go back due to financial reasons, then there is a point, I guess, in teaching them yoga and giving them some methodology to survive and to come out of that victim mindset that they think
The
all the time.
survivor.
Victim
Yeah.
survivor, yes. And then I,
Yeah.
through teaching all the spiritual stuff as well, I do meet lot of, I have actually met men who have been beaten. So for me, it's
Yes.
not at all about gender
Not a
thing at
gender.
all.
Yeah.
I have seen as many men being beaten, or emotionally, psychologically, completely used and abused in so many ways. So equal number of bad women and bad men are there
Yes.
are there
Yes.
and I'm really happy that you are helping these people, and you are trying to, you initially started with all that how to treat and do empower such people. And we do need to empower these people, otherwise it will go rampant, and people will not, never ever.
Continue to.
From the victim mindset, you cannot raise the level of a society, you cannot raise the level of consciousness. So you
Mm,
have to at
mm.
least come out of that. So how did you,
Yes.
what
So
made you come to India and start doing
that's
something like that? Is it something
something
like your own journey?
I don't. I when somebody asks me this, I usually say this is my karma.
Yeah.
It because most people in the world are running to go to California. They want to live in Silicon Valley, and here I am. My parents are from Cupertino,
Mm-hmm.
which is the home of Apple computers.
Yeah.
So I was raised in the lap of Silicon Valley, and one fine day, I mean, I had already left their house and lived elsewhere for several years. I had lived in Austria. I've lived in Arizona first, Austria, Costa Rica, and then I landed up in Bangalore. Yeah, purely because this was my karma. This is my
Yes.
karma bhumi. I I often or intermittently I try options to move back to the US, and I am a US citizen, a natural born US citizen, so it will always be there that okay, I should go back there. My parents live there, my aunt and uncle, everybody lives there. So there may be a time, and if the universe decides that I'll move back there, I'll move back there.
Yes.
But in the meanwhile, I had a wonderful experience running Prafulurja, and until COVID, we actually developed a training program so that other yoga, because I started out teaching in one school, but I quickly realized that one school was so clever that although I told them only 5 children, 10 children, eventually I had 70 children within 4 or 5 months, and I was there from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is full time for me, but. And then another school said, "Hey, can you join us also?" Well, not really, I can't. But I quickly realized that 2 people can do the work of 3,
Yeah.
and 3 people can do the work of 5, and it can grow exponentially like that. So we devised a training curriculum. The curriculum is currently under revision, and it's probably going to become a 100-hour training on yoga for communities in vulnerable conditions.
Wow.
So we have worked with primarily, yes, the special needs community, and people still come to us for that purpose. But we also work with children in orphanages or in group homes, prison communities, communities. We did get the opportunity to work with domestic violence and trauma survivors as well. So that was a very heartwarming space for me once we were able to work with them, because it is where my first
such a wonderful
research.
thing that you have done. A lot of people would return from America or any other Western country, maybe as an investor, or they would come to India, they would just want to invest and multiply their money and take the advantage of the growth that is happening in India, or some people would return because of the cultural renaissance that is going on in India right now, and a lot of people have gone back for that reason as well. But rarely anybody would go there just to do the social work and just to spend their life and their lifetime, leave the comforts of their own home wherever they were in the any of the Western country, and go back to living in wherever, and not knowing how much will you earn or how will you spend your life and what will happen, what will not happen. Despite all these challenges and by overcoming all these things in your mind, first you have done a great service to the
Thank you,
to the
Prakriti.
people.
I'll say this much. Yes, money is extremely important so that
Yes.
we can buy things.
Yes.
But how much are those things actually giving us true happiness?
Yeah.
The happiness that I have received from a couple of the rural women who became yoga teachers themselves went back to their deep interior villages where you and I cannot go.
Yes.
Because it's so deep, interior villages, and work with people in those areas using yoga philosophies and yoga practices. The joy and the happiness that I've gotten out of seeing a child with a special need teach a 30-minute yoga class to his peers because I was tired or I was a little bit busy doing some documentation work with the director of the school and whatnot, and we had some visitors and stuff, so I had to formality things, and so we just nominated a child, and to see that, to know that child, whether the child is 7 years old or 17 years old, can handle a yoga class on their own and even correct the other children and say, oh, you're doing it wrong. Oh, okay. You're having your own, physical or mental or emotional, neurological issues, but you recognize
what is wrong with the other person. My schooling happened in India. So once a month, anybody who was doing a good help to the teacher, who has been a good help for the teacher, she used to make them teacher for the day. So I used to wait. When will I get all the children in the class used to wait, and not because they wanted to be teacher or anything, just because so they can pull other people's leg that day.
So it's such a happiness. Now, I will say that, although I've had the opportunity and I've had some grants and some small corporate groups have donated to our organization and helped us to sustain it on a very basic level. To be able to expand it further does require more funding, and that is something that has been a difficulty. Also, the other major challenge that we faced was COVID.
Okay.
Because a lot of the groups that we work with do not have iPads and smartphones, and so now they're all at home. And if they even have a phone, it's a brick phone. It's the regular phone without video and audio, all these video capacities and pictures and stuff.
So working becomes really hard.
It was quite difficult, and that actually we decided to take the step back and say, okay, at this time, instead of teaching, let us raise awareness. So we conducted several programs on, we called speakers from different, fields, people who are involved in special needs or involved in prisons. And, we had an opportunity to speak with them about, the importance of yoga in that space. So that's what we did throughout COVID. Now, I know it's been a couple of years since COVID, but we're still getting back on our feet. But right now we have prior to COVID, we had about 10 to 15 people working with us part-time in the office, managing the programs, developing the curriculum, and managing the office, different activities like that. After that, and we had about maybe 30 yoga teachers working in the field, mostly in Bangalore, little bit in Mumbai as well.
Okay.
And and then we've also done programs in other parts of India, Calcutta, Coimbatore, Punjab, Delhi, Hyderabad. So, one-off programs. And we've had people from around the world, I think from Australia, different parts of Europe, the US, Trini, and the UK, I guess, is no longer Europe, so I'll say the UK also, Canada, and the Middle East. And people from around the world have come, attended our training program, gone back and implemented programs,
Very nice.
working with the children. So that actually, I think now that we're, regrouping after and restructuring after COVID, what we have understood is it's best if we train people
Yes.
with our knowledge, with our experience, and our methodologies, and then let people go back to their hometowns or home countries and start their programs themselves.
And then
Because-
maybe support them by saying, okay, what challenges are you facing? Let's
Yeah,
do a monthly
once a-
meeting,
once a
or
month.
every
Yes, exactly.
six months do some sort of a refresher that this is
Exactly.
okay. So
Exactly.
you face these 5 new challenges. Here are 5 new yoga steps or therapies or kriyas that we can do.
Chats where people can share.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing lately. Is we have a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
People post, okay, I have this problem, I have this child, I don't know how to talk to this particular parent, or I am approaching a prison community in my,
Yes.
what do I tell them?
Yes.
So whatever it may be, they can post on there and they can say, hey, and then others can respond because somebody else has had that experience.
We started after the COVID here in Australia, locally in Melbourne. We started a program called Thriving Minds, just
Okay.
only to teach some of the yoga kriyas, really powerful yoga kriyas, only to frontline responders, those who are dealing with trauma all the time, because I
Daily.
have seen firsthand in so many people's lives how trauma changes them. And even though they may be surgeons, they may be doctors, they may be people who do post-mortem every day, or they may be police who has to respond to violent crimes, or they may be police who are dealing with lot of, or the case officers of social domestic violence people, those who are seeing violence on daily basis, and they are not the sufferers yet. And so with the nurse staff with COVID, where you see, okay, room full of bodies, dead bodies, 25 dead bodies, or some horrible accidents, and nurses and doctors are always dealing with. So how trauma changes. My both parents were doctors in India. They were government doctors. My father was ENT surgeon, my mother was gynecologist. So I practically grew up on the hospital. So I have seen how trauma changes, what trauma does to you slowly. And likewise, I really want to teach these people that there are yogic kriyas and there are yogasanas which you practice every day 10 minutes in the morning before you head out for your challenging day. If you keep practicing it, in some ways the energy of the trauma, you will not absorb it. There will be a sort of a barrier between the victim or the person with whom the trauma has happened and the one who is dealing with this, trying to fix it, trying to serve it. So there are some yogic kriyas especially meant just for that. So we started a program like that to teach people here.
Super.
Deal with the frontline responders. And here I so much wanted it to be part of the police program, nurse program, that just do it. You don't want to be popping pills after some time because you have PTSD. And a lot of them do have PTSD. And since Ukraine war has started, a lot of troops from here have gone. And they are 18, 19 years old. They come
Oh,
back.
wow.
Yeah, the troops are like that. The infantry who's fighting and
Yeah,
doing all
yeah.
that, they range
They're
from
young.
17 year to 23 years of age. That's what their age group is. And they have joined the army here, and they have joined the navy, or they have joined the air force. When they come back, they are no longer a human being that
Yeah.
they were.
The innocence of a 17-year-old coming back as a 19 or 20-year-old
Yes.
is lost.
Lost. Not just the
Lost.
innocence,
17.
the trauma, the bombing,
Yeah.
the killing, the butchering, the blasting of bodies, whatever they see there, when they come back, it's in their eyes. You can see it, what has happened with them. So there are kriyas to even deal with them. So all kinds of frontline responders. So that is
It's
another area, a sort of a tangent where even your organization can start someday as well. Treat
So
just the frontline people.
it's interesting because I had two projects. I did two master's degrees. So my first master's degree, my thesis project was on yoga for
Peace.
international peace builders. So I have a 10, I think it was 10 sessions where you learn the different, in the Patanjali Yama and Niyama practices, ideas, the philosophies in 10 sessions. And then you also learn a specific lineage of yoga. So I think or specific type of yoga, I guess you could say. We studied some restorative practices, some yin practices. I forgot what else I have put into that curriculum. But actually, it is something that I think is very pertinent and very necessary. Just like there are doctors without borders, nurses without borders, there should be yoga without borders.
Yes.
Going into these places, there should be yoga teachers who can go into these places, work in refugee camps, work with the army and the whomever, Navy, Air Force, whomever it is, who are on the ground, okay, or they're in the air or ocean, but on the ground, and they are going to experience trauma that day.
Yes.
And to just give them that, like you said, 10 minutes. Do this 10 for 10. Just do 5 minutes of breathing practice, and maybe a couple of restorative, asana practices or kriyas or something, just something very relaxing.
Yeah.
Then when you open your eyes, you can think, okay, how can I deal with this situation best?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to shoot somebody today. I know it.
Yeah.
And actually, to be honest, I think this should not just go to the frontline workers, but to the leaders.
Yeah.
Because they know it, then it will trickle down.
Yes, definitely.
Trickle, and then it can go to everybody. Because for one yoga teacher to be able to work with 10 or 20 or 50 people, fine. But for one general to then say, okay, all of you have to do 10 minutes of yoga in the morning.
Yes.
Makes an even bigger impact. And if there's a possibility for doing this, it would be great. But baby steps. All right. Yeah, it's interesting that you brought this up. The other point that's quite interesting that you brought up is the financials.
Yeah.
And one thing that I have learned, I know that I have not had a steady, proper income in my life in a long time, in a very long time. And yet I'm managing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm accepting of the money from the sources that it comes from.
Yeah.
It's okay for me. I've learned to say yes. Now, it is still, an ego that, I should be earning for myself. It should come to me from another source. This director of this company should be writing a check to me every month. It should come on the 1st of the month or the 5th or whatever day.
No, we cannot do social work with a job-like mindset at all. The money is uneven. All the social work that we do, there are lots of challenges, and Yeah, it's hard.
And, about, I want to say maybe it's also been about 8 or 10 years. I just, made I just generally made a call to the universe thinking, I need this much funds. And the next day somebody called me and said, hey, I'd like to give you this much money for the next
Very good.
X number of years. I thought, at first I said, no, I will earn my own money. It will come from this type of source. Like this, I will get it.
That's the thing. You
And
to the
then,
universe, you tell what you want. Don't tell it.
but
Do not explain how.
how it's going to happen.
How is always decided by the universe. You just say what you want.
So, so I've been very fortunate that, and I want to then uh, give gratitude to my father and my mother. My mother was an inspiration. My father, who made that decision and said, you know what, I see what you're doing. I see the benefit it has on society. Maybe that's not the only thing that I'm going to do, but I'm going to support you.
Very nice.
And I see that, yeah, I mean, it's not going to pay all my bills for all of time,
Yeah.
but and he also has to think, okay, he is older and he has to take care of himself very
Yes.
much. So it's not an expectation
Yeah.
that I have, but it's a gratitude. Okay, today you want to give me, great. If tomorrow you don't and you realize that it's not going to work out, that's fine also. Because one of the things that I have been blessed with is, of course, my family, who has, also well educated. My mother is still working as an oncologist. But they've also given me education.
Yes.
And the ability to really, like you said, lead my own life.
Yes.
The ability to make those decisions, like you were saying, the decision making.
Yes.
Is something that people need to be empowered towards.
Yes.
And yeah, and I think that's really allowed me to say I'm okay with living in this small. Maybe it's not Silicon Valley, California, but now currently I'm in Benares. I would like to have more nature around me. I would love to be in where you're at with the mountains and the ocean, but on either side. But before this, I mean, I've been here for about 1.5 years because I'm pursuing a PhD at Benares Hindu University.
What's the subject? What the PhD?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So I have about 6 months ago, I mean, throughout the time, I knew that it would be something related to yoga. When I applied under the idea that I would be researching yoga for refugee communities or prison communities somewhere in the space. And I think my guide here really pushed me and said, I think you can go beyond this. And he helped me hone in on what else I had been involved in and interacting with. So I've decided to research the impact and contributions of spiritual women's sanghas on peace building and diplomacy.
Wow.
So
that's the huge work. I will definitely, when you publish your book or your thesis, just let me know, because I know a lot of time I have thought about it, but nobody ever discussed about a woman leading sanghas and organizations,
Yes.
and especially in the spiritual space, and what was the impact on the society, what was the impact on raising the consciousness, what was the impact on so many normal households that they have made. Wow.
A lot of women's stories and women's lineages, I have noticed, have kind of flown in the wind, maybe, and
Yes.
they're kind of gone in the
Forgotten.
wind.
Yeah, a lot of those things are forgotten now.
And lesser known. So actually, a few years ago, at the beginning of COVID, I was invited to join the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry Karnataka Yoga Council, basically the Women's Yoga Karnataka Yoga Council. And recently this year, I took up the presidency position in that organization. But what I found is, in the just reaching out to, our first president kind of put together is 20 women who are in the field of yoga, who are interested in making a difference in the field of yoga. Yes. And that was really a blessing, because out of that, I made some really amazing friends who asked the same questions that I was asking. Well, we are learning the Iyengar yoga. We are learning the yoga of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. We are learning the yoga from Patanjali system, the yoga from even Bhagavad Gita and Krishna's ideas. But what are the women's, who were the women who were leading? And, I was fortunate enough, a friend of mine and we took a trip to see some Chauset Yogini temples in Odisha, and then later, and that really inspired me to think like, okay, now what were these? Why is this temple so different than all other temples? Yeah. There's no closed structure. It's
Akasha directly.
It's circular. There's no
Shakti.
You are great. You are here. It is we are together.
Yes.
And I really realized that when women are together, they are so much more powerful. Even if you look at the Durga aspect during the Navaratris, in the
Durga, 9 goddesses.
She manifests in different forms. She's like, hey, wait a minute, I need my sisters with me.
Yes.
I need them. We need to be together, and I need to make 9 of them, and then me, and we're all together. And these Chauset Yoginis, when I did more research on them, ironically, some of their great diplomatic work has been here in Kashi, in the Kashi Khanda, and through the Kashi Khanda, the story comes out about their work as ambassadors or emissaries. Yes. Maybe also spies, but okay. But definitely as ambassadors, they were sent here as ambassadors, and it's just amazing that we don't think of them as diplomats. We think that I think, is it Sushma Swaraj was a one of the first female foreign ministers of India, but we don't think about, okay, wait a minute, Sarojini Naidu was in essence, she was acting as a foreign minister or an ambassador, an Indian ambassador to foreign countries, and we don't remember that our lineage has started even from the Chauset Yoginis. Yes. Before then, Radha was a great proponent of her sisters, the gopis, her friends, her girlfriends, you could say, before, during the 8th or 9th century. Andal from Tamil Nadu also always brought her friends along and said, come on, girls, let's go find our Samadhi together. Let's experience this together.
Yes.
And then a last group that I'm looking at is a current group, is a contemporary group, Vinoba Bhave's disciples who live in Pavnar in the Brahma Vidya Ashram, Brahma Vidya Mandir in near Nagpur. And they're such an interesting group because they actually have told me, we are doing our sadhana, our spiritual practices, not for ourselves, but for all of us.
Yeah, greater good.
And for the entire humanity.
Yes.
What a beautiful thought, just that what is mine is not mine.
Yes.
But belongs to the whole universe.
And that's such a feminine nature. That's such a nurturing everything around you. It's such a feminine quality. And even men, those who become a great yogis, they develop this quality as a result by being a yogi.
Definitely.
This is
see
beautiful.
The more spiritually in tune any man is, you can feel that feminine nature coming out.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is great. This is wonderful. So thank you so much, Soumya ji.
Thank you.
And I am really grateful to have met you, and you have done seriously great work for the humanity, for the people of India. And I'm sure this woman lineage work that you are doing, the day it comes out, it's going to be a great service to the, femininity of the femininity of the entire yoga population that we have got. And at times people think yoga is just a very masculine thing. No, it becomes very much feminine.
As well.
Very much Shakti oriented. You don't balance the feminine Shakti in you, you're going nowhere in yoga, period. So thank you so much. And I'm sure a lot of females will get inspired from all that you have done and all that you have told us. And I will provide the links to your organization in the description box of our video, so they can reach out to your organization. They can donate to your organization, and if they would like to volunteer, then I would really say just people should go and do seva. Seva improves the Anahata chakra, the balance of your Anahat chakra. And everybody needs to have an open Anahata before they become a yogi. So that's the first preliminary, eligibility criteria for being a yogi, that your Anahata is open. So it would be great if some people can go and donate to your organization, can volunteer with your organization, and can help you otherwise in whichever way they are possible. It is possible. Everybody is skilled in some way. So everybody, if those who do not want to donate the money, I always tell them, oh, you might be skilled in something, right? Just help with that. Yeah, donate your time, your energy, your skills that you have got. So donate that way. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prakriti ji.